Futsal is a variant of soccer that's played indoors and is very popular around the world. It's starting to become more popular here in the United States. With its roots in Uruguay almost 100 years ago, it's surprising that some of us, myself included, are just now learning about this sport. We can't wait to hear more about it today. Welcome to Celebrate Michigan, the show produced on the campus of Madonna University. I'm Chris Benson. The Futsal Factory Academy is located right here in Michigan, and they are coaching at a world-class level for the sport. Please welcome Drew Ducker of the Futsal Factory Academy to the show. We're so glad you could join us today, Drew.
Thanks very much. Glad to be here.
Excellent. So how did you come to be involved with the Academy?
Yeah, definitely a long story that I probably wouldn't have predicted I would have been where I was today, but it probably started back in South Florida, where I'm from. So I grew up just north of Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. Played soccer growing up at the high school level, club level, and then very rich Caribbean, South American culture there. So kind of you have all variations of soccer: beach soccer, foot volley, 3v3, small-sided, and futsal. Back then, this is like early mid-90s, like not really futsal what you see today, more of street soccer and street futsal. So that's kind of my entry to soccer. That consumed my life in a good way at that point. Kind of fast forward, I played high-level club, and then ended up playing college and kind of getting to Michigan. I bounced around a couple different pro teams, outdoor and indoor. Ended up playing for the Detroit Ignition pro team here that played out of Livonia, actually, in here, down the street at CompuWare. So that's kind of how I got to Michigan, which is great. So that was kind of my youth career into my pro career. And then futsal kind of integrated itself in college with me. I went to Vanderbilt University in Nashville. Out of all places, there was a little niche area where this guy kind of started this futsal league, so I got more integrated there and just kind of loved the game. Small-sided game. I grew up a very South American kind of style, so really like ball mastery, 1v1, small-sided play. So I kind of navigated toward like indoor and futsal, just more skill-based versus outdoor, right? You have other attributes that can be good for you. So that's kind of how I started. And in between kind of my pro career, I started coaching. Even at 18, 19, I was coaching the little ones. I just kind of had a knack for coaching. I liked being around kids, liked being around soccer. So as my pro career started continuing forward on the indoor and outdoor side, I started coaching more. A lot of free time to some extent, right? When you train 2 hours a day, I've got the rest of the day. So started getting more involved in the areas I am, South Florida and then Central Florida and Orlando. My first full year of pro soccer, got integrated into a club, started my own kind of academy, started doing more futsal training, and that led to me kind of bringing that into Michigan. So started working with a youth club here in Michigan, and kind of as I kind of moved out of my pro career into more of just coaching and playing some semi-pro, I was like, man, I really think, kids are just lacking this small-sided play. Like, it was a good market for it. It was something I really believed was a big part of the youth developmental tool. So kind of in my basement with a couple buddies, I was like, hey guys, I have this idea. Like, I think we can help kids, this way, develop through just a different avenue. You've got technical training, goalkeeper, speed and agility. For me, futsal is just another tool in the toolbox. So I said, hey, I want to make this, the tool. So 2014, we started this academy. And it's kind of grown massively since then. But in that first year, we just kind of took a couple parents who kind of had some interest, threw together 24 players, made a couple teams, did a little extra training for them, right? Really kind of gave them this philosophy of like, why futsal? Why should you play futsal? What are the benefits? And then I think our biggest kind of mission and philosophy is how futsal translates to soccer. Because all kids, in America, like, we don't have 4 divisions of pro futsal. We don't have any divisions. So for me, it was like, okay, technical training, goalkeeping, it has kind of its area. For futsal, like, we want to make sure that they can take these tools and go back to outdoor and say, oh, that kid plays futsal. He knows how to use this part of futsal or that part of futsal to better enhance his ability in the outdoor game or her ability. So that's kind of the start of it. It started with 24 kids. And our next guest actually was one of those 24, which I'm happy to talk about in a little bit. But my partner his name is Daniel Matos. So I started the academy, and then that was 2014. And then in 2018, he moved to Illinois, and we actually started expanding at that point. Wow. So we kind of started just with 3 teams, 24 players, just this like 10 trainings, 1 tournament. And now we've got 5 or 6 different kind of pillars of our academy. It's now my full-time job, and I've turned kind of a passion into a job. So really excited to be here and kind of give you more details on it. That's kind of the quick backstory of how it came to be and kind of where it's at today.
Wow, there's so much there that I want to like drill down on, because that's a lot. And I imagine you've obviously played because you talk fast. I bet you do pretty much everything fast because that was a lot of information.
Probably,
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah,
so
thank
what
you.
is it about futsal? What was it that just drew you to this sport? I mean, you could choose anything, right?
Yeah.
So why this?
Yeah, I think, when I look at soccer and other sports, for me, futsal, I feel like is a smaller version of the game where there's just way more action. If you like basketball, hockey, I feel like you've got to be a futsal fan because you're getting all of that kind of similar action. I think from a playing standpoint, 11 on the field, the amount of touches, interactions versus 4 plus a keeper on a court. Heavier ball, as you can kind of see, right? So if I drop this ball, it might bounce 2 times. A soccer ball would bounce probably 8 or 9. So it's really on the floor a lot. Not a lot of in the air, not a lot of heading, not a lot of crossing.
Okay.
So I think just the amount of touches, decision making, you're scoring goals, you're taking on players, you're defending. No one's checked out. When there's only 4 on the court, you've got to be locked in, you're ready to play, and you're always involved in the play. Versus like you go 11v11, you can kind of check in and out, you're not as involved. So for me, I think fast action, the amount of touches, and just the enjoyment altogether are the 3 things that drew me to futsal. Which is why I want to kind of give that to kids and have them utilize some of those benefits that will help them become a better outdoor player as well.
So I understand at the Academy you accept a range of different people that you work with. So talk a little bit about like how young is too young and then how old is too old.
For sure, yeah, I'll give a little bit of our pathway. We actually start at 2. So 2 to 5 we have our mini futsalers. Not going to be a ton of soccer futsal, right? A lot of like fun games, right? Getting them comfortable and kind of developing a passion and love of the sport and the ball, right? Relationship one-on-one with the ball. So those ages is kind of our introduction. Once they hit 5, we've got a couple programs. We have kind of our recreational programs. So from 5 to 12, any kids, any boys, girls, all levels are welcome to kind of come into these classes, right? Most of it is probably the basics, but again, we really focus on fundamentals and then enjoyment, right? We want to create passion so that they continue to grow up and play soccer and futsal, even after, whether their goal is high school, college, professional, or just a spectator and a passionate fan for life. Like that's kind of what we believe in.
Wow.
Once you kind of hit those ages, and we have our elite program.
Yeah.
So that's probably the bulk of our program right now, right? So all of my background in coaching is kind of with your club level players. So in Michigan, we have multiple locations. We go from 8 to 18. Our main part is kind of winter time, right? So November through March, when we're inside, as most everyone is in the lovely Michigan weathers. So that's the bulk of our program. So we have 5 locations in Michigan, and then outside of Michigan, we're actually in 6 different states right now.
Wow, my gosh, there's so much. We have so much to talk about. We have to take a quick break, though. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back to hear more about futsal. And we have a special guest.
Fast-paced family life in need of a slowdown?
Hello, I'm Dr. Spruce. Did you know all those green shapes on maps are parks and forests? It's true. Visit discovertheforest.org and plan to visit a park or forest near you, instead of just wondering what it would have been like.
While the word forest might make you think of distant lands from far, far away, please note parks and forests are closer than you think, which means things like beautiful scenery, fresh air, and family time are also closer than you think.
Learning how to kickflip 6 stairs takes determination. So will getting into college. I've got what it takes. So do you.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
So my uncle calls and he says he's dizzy and he's losing his balance. I'm like, Unc, you want me to take you to a doctor? He's like, no, I'm gonna look up the symptoms. I said, your symptoms are you're dizzy and you're losing your balance. So he said, I can't get on the internet because my arm is numb. I said, well, use your good arm and dial 911. Stroke's no joke. If you or someone you love is showing symptoms of stroke, don't wait because it might be too late. Dial 911. Time lost is brain lost.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson. Joining me today is coach and owner of Michigan Futsal Factory Academy, Drew Ducker, and then we have our special guest. Accompanying him is a current U.S. Futsal men's national team goalkeeper, Robert Damron. Robert, so thanks for making time for us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So what is it like to play at the national level? I know you both have been there, but let's start with you. What is it like, and did you ever think that you'd be doing that?
I mean, it's cliche, but it's a dream come true.
Okay.
I mean, every kid grows up messing around in their backyard with the ball, pretending they're on the national team at a World Cup. And, you know, I'm Italian, so I grew up pretending that I was playing for the Italian national team in the backyard. But I ended up getting the chance with the men's national team and getting to play in a World Cup here. So it was amazing.
Amazing to have it happen.
Yeah.
So you hear the crowd cheering in the backyard there while you're playing and making the most amazing moves.
Yep.
So who are some of the influences that really inspired you in the sports world to just keep going and playing at this level?
I mean, I grew up, I didn't know much about futsal until I met this guy.
Yeah.
So I grew up watching outdoor goalkeepers like Gianluigi Buffon. He was my guy growing up.
Yeah.
But then once I met this guy, I mean, he was really a driving force in getting me into futsal and pushing me to be the best that I could be. So I mean, obviously one of the best role models I've ever had in my life. So I mean, without him, I wouldn't be here. So yeah.
So from your perspective, how did you meet this guy?
So,
and then I can't wait to hear your perspective on it.
So honestly, it's pretty funny. I don't really remember because it was so long ago. But I know that he coached in the Rush program, which is where I was, and then my best friend, Thomas, actually is the one who brought me into Futsal Factory because he was, I don't know how you brought Thomas in, but Thomas was a part of the academy and they were looking for a goalkeeper and he asked me and I came and I liked it, so yeah.
Awesome, okay. Yeah. So version number 2.
Yeah, it's not too far. I remember it obviously a little more clearly than he did. Of course. Because I was not 11, 12 at the time. But, you know, he is correct though. I think we were building this first year team of these 24 players and I was like, all right, well, we need a goalkeeper, guys. And I believe it was Thomas who was like, I think I have someone. And then this like back then very shaggy hair kid comes in. I'm like, this guy's not a goalkeeper. This guy's a goalkeeper. And then after like the first 5 minutes, I was like, oh, he's a goalkeeper. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I think he just had a knack for the game. You know, after that first season, he's like, I love it, I want to do more. And I'm like, man, let's go then. Mm-hmm. So that was 11, 12. So fortunately, over a decade ago now. He was part of kind of the first group and just has been around the program, both as a player, now is coaching with me, has by far trumped my resume at this point from the playing perspective. You know, I was fortunate enough to be involved in the national team a couple different routes, but between CONCACAF and World Cup, and I was much older than him as well during my first stints, but couldn't be more proud of him. You know, I appreciate that. You know, I'm a role model in his life. He's now a role model, I think, in all of our kids' academy's life as well, and someone who's kind of on the forefront of just Futsal Factory Academy. So super grateful that he's like a little brother and a friend and a coach, and I think he still has a lot of potential and a long career in the futsal world for sure.
What is that like for you when you see that something? So you've got an athlete in front of you, maybe someone like Robert, who you're like, okay, I see potential, and they may not even see it in themselves yet. So what is that like as a coach, and how do you do that every day, I'm sure, at the Futsal Factory?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you see kids in their ability, right, and/or passion. I think Robert kind of had both. You know, especially when they have passion, it's easy to kind of say, hey, like, I think you've done well, you know, are you interested in this program? Or, hey, we've got some more opportunities, come and kind of see what you think. And at that point, it kind of is it's a good snowball that creates itself and continues to go downhill on its own, in all honesty. So all we try to do is kind of feed that to kids who are interested, who want more, who want to learn. and that's the best way we've seen so far to kind of grow the program.
And how do you see the skills that the players there are learning at the Futsal Factory translating into life? Because I imagine there's a lot of crossover there.
There is, yeah, there is. We've got kind of our 6 core values that we try to implement throughout the year as well, during sessions and kind of what we believe in. I think, you know, the obvious ones, right, just team, leadership, right, working with others, I think is a big one these days that kids need. They need those life skills, right, how to navigate problems, situations. You know, kids will get into it in training, they'll get into it in a game, they've got to kind of problem solve. There's a lot of communication going on in futsal, on the subbing, kind of like hockey, you're on the fly. So, you know, it really gives more players a lot more accountability than sometimes on the outdoor side where coach will say, okay, hey, next sub go in, versus a communication of if Robert and I are subbing, I've got to say, hey, Robert, next sub when you can. He's got to recognize a good time to come off. I've got to recognize a good time to go on. So I think those are things that we say, hey, we're not just building young players, we're building young people as well. So trying to put those little anecdotes in any time is a big must for us.
And Robert, what do you see are the qualities of an exceptional coach? Like, what really works for you as a player?
Honestly, a huge thing for me, you can really tell when a coach has been a player because they're good at speaking to you in a way that you'll understand. Sometimes you have coaches that maybe weren't a player for a long time and they try to treat it like a classroom setting where, you know, you tell somebody something and they're supposed to understand it like that. No, you need to show what you want, like going out there and painting a picture for them. I tell this guy all the time, he's one of the best at painting a picture for the players on the court. What do they need to see in order to get something out of it?
And he's not passionate about this sport at all. Like, I've gotten zero of that from him since he's been on the show. None, right? Right? Wonderful. Well, we already have to take a break, but stay tuned because we're going to learn much more about the world of futsal. See you soon.
Here comes the Heffley family.
Whether it's a short trip or a long haul.
Estimated time, 47 hours.
They will beg.
You're hungry? I'm happy to provide.
They will plead.
Deep fried butter on a stick.
But whatever you do, don't wimp out.
Now you're talking.
Make them buckle up.
He can't hurt.
Remember, safety first. Cheese curls second.
Are you orange?
To you, Algebra 2, Foreign Languages, and finally, Biology. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Me.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Me too.
Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college.
Welcome home, man.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education. What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills. The smarts. Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and again, I'm joined by Drew Ducker and Robert Dameron, two high-level experienced coaches, and they've also played quite a bit of futsal themselves. So let me ask you this. What do you see as challenges or opportunities for the future for the Futsal Factory?
Yeah, I think some of the opportunities are just in general across the board for all players, all ages, all levels. Because futsal is such a new sport, it's still a very niche market. So I think there's opportunity to make it just a bigger sport in general. Maybe not as big as like soccer or basketball per se, but I think more kids that try it, I think they would enjoy it, and I think there'd be some more interest in playing. So I think we haven't hit the potential of just the number of players, number of kids interested in playing, and definitely the programming is really, really small right now. So I think there's opportunity for numbers, right? But I think for me, it's going with education as well. Like, what's futsal? Why futsal? And I think going back of, like, we just want kids to play.
And you talked a bit, just to draw a parallel for people who are like, oh gosh, I know what soccer is, but I'm still trying to learn this. What are some of the skills that are transferable? And then what are some of the things that are kind of unique to futsal and not maybe so much soccer? Or is there just total overlap?
Yeah, I think it depends on who you ask, right?
Okay.
I think some people would say it's a completely different sport.
Okay.
Some people would say there's like a big crossover, right? You
Okay.
can put like a Venn diagram together to some degree, I think, right? For me, I think a good chunk is transferable to soccer.
Okay.
I think for us at Futsal Factory Academy, I think it's more about having those little nuances. So example, because the ball is a little heavier, right? You have the ability to use your toe to kind of poke it.
Okay.
Versus outdoor, the ball is lighter. To use your toe, it's much more difficult. So I think that kind of technique, for example, knowing kind of when to use it and when not to use it at outdoor is something we talk about for sure. Because there is times, right? You could argue that other parts of your foot take longer to mechanically move back and shoot the ball versus a quick toe poke, very deceptive, very quick. So that's one like little nuance that's a big difference. Some people would say you should never use the toe. I'm under the impression it's about when to use it, when not to use it. So that's a good one for the technical side. Almost every touch people receive is bottom of the foot. So you use sole of the foot versus outdoor, almost all of it's inside. So that first kind of touch surface is very different. Again, going back to when do you use it, when do you not to. So I think that's what's unique about futsal is like if you have the understanding of the game, you can really take those benefits and they can be exponential for you in outdoor. You watch Argentina play, you watch Brazil play, right? Almost all those players grow up playing futsal, right? In Brazil, it's only futsal until 11, 12, and then you kind of pick which one you want to go. Other countries, very similar, but you can see those players specifically very skillful, very intelligent, very creative on the ball. For me, that stems from futsal. So that's kind of what we want to bring out of futsal. And then I think a lot of it is movement, right? When you think about basketball, hockey, any of these things, right? Any stationary movement where players are in the same position, the game is a little easier to read. Anytime you're attacking or defending and multiple players, multiple movements, it becomes difficult to manage. So I think understanding how those movements can be useful in outdoor, when to use them, how to use them to give your team an advantage is what we think futsal is good for.
So for those who are watching right now, if they want to find you, where can they find you? How do they get more information?
Yeah, futsalfactoryacademy.com. Any branches, if you're in Florida, Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Wisconsin, those are the states we're in right now.
Oh, wow.
Check us out. We're on all of the socials, right, from TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think if you even put in Futsal Factory Academy at this point, we're the largest youth academy in the nation. You'll find us pretty easily on Google at this point.
And so I have to ask Robert, what advice would you have if there's someone watching out there today and they're like, I'm not sure if like maybe it's a student or a kid who's watching is like, maybe I want to check this out. What would you tell them?
When you get your shot, take it. Be ready for your shot.
Awesome.
I think whenever that opportunity may arise, you may not know that it's coming. Whenever it's there, you got to take it. Yep.
Awesome. And for parents who might be watching and they're like, okay, let me find out a little bit more about this. What would you say to them to tell them that is a reason why they should have their children think about futsal? Yeah,
I think if they're looking for something to help them just become a better outdoor player, or maybe even something a bit different in the wintertime, it's a great addition to any sport programming, right? I think whether they're a kind of recreational player, elite player, it's worth giving it a shot. I think some kids will see that they'll struggle through it if they're not familiar with it, but I think from a fundamental standpoint, it's good for them to try something new, and some players will enjoy it more than outdoor. And what do you see as the future for the Futsal Academy? It would be nice to see obviously more growth. Selfishly, Futsal Factory Academy. More branches, more players involved.
Sure.
We'd love to see futsal just grow into a more popular sport in general. I think when we look at like the world scale of soccer, U.S. makes some ways where we are getting in the top 10 or 15 at times. But for me, I think futsal is a big piece we're missing that could elevate us to the top 5, 6 in the world.
That's very exciting. So coming from Florida all the way here, and again, Michigan, where we happen to be having in Michigan right now snow today. So it's like amazing that we're talking about this, but just to see the journey that you've had, it's got to be fulfilling to see where you've come and when you look back at that.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been a fun ride so far. Hopefully we can continue to grow, and I think that's partly why you see the phoenix in the logo. It's one of our core values, transformation. Probably for me the most important. We want kids to transform, and whether that's become a better soccer player, become a better person, both, we want to take that experience and hopefully they utilize it in their life.
Well, thanks for bringing a visual aid of the transformation here, right?
It's a good one. It's a good one to bring.
A wonderful one to bring. So thank you so much for coming and spending time with us today and introducing some people like me to this awesome sport. I'm definitely going to check it out more now that I know about it and share with people I know. And we really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. And thank you for watching this show and celebrating all the wonderful things we have here in Michigan, learning about the high-level experiences these guys have had with the beautiful game of futsal. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.